Good day. Welcome to The State. Thank God it's Friday. On the show, we probe the issues and dig the solutions. And we are going to do exactly that this afternoon. The show is sponsored by Christian Service University. Christian Service University is located in Kumasi in the Ashanti region. My name is Gabriel 𝗟𝗡𝗙 Ankrah. I'll take a quick break and I'll be back to introduce the topic. Stay with me.
Mi fie Christian fie mema mi kun aye Christiani na me mofra aye Christian fo mema mi fie aye Christian fie ban papam aye dwumadi a ekoso ewo WTV so kasa afa ekwaya ye tete ye mofra Ekwanya yebefa so ama yaware ayefe ne yaware edimu. Efie entitiye anase efie siesie ene efie nkomodie mu nso yenya ento nchen. Into me to sa frɛ se hwɛ WTV na nneɛma pa bebree ɛwɔ WTV so enwumpa nkomodie papa nneɛma pa ɛbɛboa me ne omienu ene yemfie kɔso ara na hwɛ WTV.
Praise God, praise God. Christ in tea, you respond, yeah, 𝗟𝗏𝗃. I'm excited to announce to you, friends in the Lord, are you seeking for a platform where you can pray? Ope baby abeso bompai. Na oni nyami edi inkita hon. Bibi chire so. Ana amanye bi na be senkum. And you come home. Let's go into the prayer room on WTV every Friday 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. to meet seasoned ministers of God that God has raised to impact your life. Remember, John Wesley said, I have too much to do, therefore I spend several hours in prayer in able to do it. That is why we are calling upon you. Meet myself, Reverend 𝗟𝗏𝗃, and the Evangelism Mission Renewal Directorate as we lead you into the prayer room where we encounter Christ. And I believe your life will never be the same. Call your friends or loved ones every Friday 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. where we will encounter Christ. God bless you. See you on our screens on WTV every Friday 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. God bless you.
That each and every one of us.
Welcome back. Let's quickly do W-Breeze. On W-Breeze, what we do is basically to give you an executive summary of the topic for discussion today. Are you a citizen of this country interested in the governance of the country? I'm asking state officials, or let me call them public officials, the president, the vice president, member of parliament, the assemblyman, the police, somebody working in public institution. Do you monitor their lifestyle? Do you monitor progress? It is alleged that some go into office and within a few period or a few months, they acquire so many properties they own and they become wealthy all of a sudden. But the Constitution of Ghana defines the situation. When you read Article 286, clauses 1 and 4, it calls this condition or situation where a public gets so rich easily and quickly, it says it is called unexplained wealth. Unexplained wealth, it's simply assets or funds that one acquires, and that is, or that exceeds one's known income. So you acquire assets or funds that exceeds your known income without plausible or reasonable explanation. This week, civil society organizations, including Occupy Ghana, have once again issued a press statement asking Cabinet to push for the passage of the Conduct of Public Officers Bill. This is not the first time. They have always, I think, since 2017, been pushing for this bill. This afternoon on The State, we are going to look at the fight against corruption and then throw the searchlight on the bill, the Conduct of Public Officers Bill. I'll take a quick break. I'll be back to introduce my guest to you. Don't go anywhere.
The Christian Service University, a fully chartered private university in Ghana, is inviting applications for admission. Undergraduate programs include BSc Nursing and Midwifery, Computer Science, Information Technology, Bachelor of Business Administration, BA Communication Studies, Planning and Social Development, and Theology with Administration. Postgraduate programs include MSc in Accounting and Finance, Monitoring and Evaluation, Corporate Planning and Governance. We have MA MPhil Communication Studies, MA Christian Ministry with Management, Event Management, MPhil English and Mathematics Education. With quality, faculty and state-of-the-art facilities, we blend academic work with entrepreneurial mindset in all our programs. For more information, please call 0246 275375, 0240-154825 or 0244-596603 or visit our website www.csuc.edu.gh. CSU is located at Odenaho Kwadaso on the Kumasi Obuasi Road, 100 meters off Star Junction. Choose CSU today to secure the future of Africa.
And to make him better known. That's
Welcome back. On The State this afternoon, we are looking at the campaign against corruption. And then we are looking at the Conduct of Public Officers Bill, particularly. So the searchlight or the focus is on this bill this afternoon. The show is sponsored by Christian Service University. And Christian Service University is a Christian evangelical liberal arts institution established 50 years ago to train men and women with ethical values for transformational leadership in Africa. Admissions for the 2024-2025 academic year is in progress for undergraduate and postgraduate programs. CSU offers dynamic academic and industry-driven program in nursing, midwifery, business administration, communication, planning, and computer science. For more information, please contact our admission relations officers on 024-6275-3575, 024-0154-825, 0244-596003, or visit our website on www.csuc.edu.gh. Choose CSU today to secure the future of Africa. CSU, the university of choice. And then we are privileged to have in the studio with us to join the conversation the programs officer of the Ghana Anti-Corruption Coalition. Joining us, he is Mr. Mr. Samuel Harrison Kujo.
Yes,
Welcome, sir.
Thank you, sir.
And then great to have you on The State.
It's nice being here.
Wonderful. So we zoom straight into the conversation. And then in my introduction, I mentioned how far the anti-corruption crusade has traveled. Can you walk us through the history? When did it start, especially with a focus on the Conduct of Public Officers Bill?
Okay, so the anti-corruption civil society organizations from Ghana Anti-Corruption Coalition, Ghana Integrity Initiative, Center for Democratic Development Ghana, Citizens Movement Against Corruption, and Occupy Ghana. On our own, separately, have since 2008 been pushing for the passage of a Conduct of Public Officers Bill. Indeed, the first time we had a bill like that go to Parliament was in 2008, and we know that between 2008 and 2022, the bill has gone to Parliament 3 times and it has not been passed. What that Conduct of Public Officers Bill seeks to do is to put in one legislation everything that has to do regarding the behavior of our public officers when they assume office. We have it in our laws, but it is so scattered, it is very difficult pulling them together, knowing that this is exactly what we have and this is what the law says. And so we were pushing for a Conduct of Public Officers Bill that would look at, I think, 2 or 3 main things. One, on the declaration of assets and liabilities. Our Constitution expressly mandates that every public officer declares their assets and liabilities before they get into office. Unfortunately, it has become a convention amongst our political elite to give public office holders 3 months after they have come into office to declare their assets and liabilities, which is in stark contrast with the Constitution that says that you should declare your assets and liabilities before you assume office. So we are looking at getting the Conduct of Public Officers Bill passed, and in that bill we are going to have sections on the declaration of assets and liabilities. Again, the Conduct of Public Officers Bill is also going to talk about conflict of interest, where we have the private interests of the public officers clashing with their public duties or their public interests. And if we look at our Constitution, I think Article 284, 285 talks about public officers behaving in ways that do not allow their private interests to conflict with their public duties. Unfortunately, a lot of the corruption issues that we are seeing now has revolved around the clash of private interest and public duties, and we feel that with the passage of the Conduct of Public Officers Bill, this is going to be addressed. And then also in that Conduct of Public Officers Bill, we are going to have other provisions that would ensure that when our public officers are in office, they are held in check and the fight against corruption is advanced. So since 2008, civil society has been pushing. This government promised that they were going to pass that, and the government has, gone through their first term. The second term is almost done. This bill is not passed. At a point, it became an issue of political football. This one kicks it here, no one kicks it back. We have followed all of it, but now we are asking government to make sure this bill is passed before Parliament rises.
It's been an arduous journey for civil society. Why are you still pushing? Because I know that you've written to Cabinet Secretary, you have written to Attorney General, you have written to Parliament, back and forth. Some of the reports that came in envelopes written confidential. At a point in time, the Secretary to Cabinet had to tell you that there are enough provisions in the law that caters for what you are calling for. Why don't you give up?
We cannot give up. The issue is that whilst it looks like we have these laws scattered all around in our Constitution, we need to give life to what the Constitution says. Now, if we pick our Constitution, I think chapter 24 from Articles 284, 285, 286, 287. Now, these articles have listed out certain things that our public officials are supposed to do. Now, 284, 285 talks about conflict of interest. Unfortunately, we do not have a conflict of interest legislation in Ghana. What we have is a guideline that was produced by the 𝗟𝗏. But we feel that we need a legislation that is binding. And so we cannot give up. We want to see this legislation passed. Yes, in 286, which talks about the declaration of assets and liabilities, we have an asset and liabilities declaration law, which was passed in 1995. Now, the problem with that law passed in 1995 is this. It does not give us the opportunity to monitor. So, if a public official says that, for example, he has 2 cars, we cannot monitor to see that he has 2 cars. Okay, over time, it has increased to 3. We don't have that right. 2, the 1995 law does not give us the opportunity to verify the assets. So if someone says that he has 2 buildings or he has 2 cars, we can't go to say DVLA and check to see if indeed there are 2 cars registered in his name.
When you say we, you mean the citizenry, public, or
the citizens? I mean, even state institutions cannot do that because we have no provisions for monitoring, we have no provisions for verification, and most importantly, the 1995 law does not allow for a publication of the assets and liabilities. But if you go to countries that are advanced in their fight against corruption, all of these things are public knowledge. Everybody knows what they're, because before you become the public official, your assets and liabilities are listed out there. But we have a law that does not allow us to do these things. And we feel that, look, let us have a conduct of public officers bill that is going to give us declarations, that's going to give us legislation, this time mandating some of these things to be done and properly defining conflict of interest so that we are able to hold our public officials to task. So we cannot give up. We feel that there are loopholes that we need to close, and the conduct of public officers bill is another step in helping us to close the loopholes.
So with the asset declaration, one thing baffles me anytime I look at the current law as it is. So I come into public office and I declare that I have 1 house. As to the state of the house, the law does not give access to people to. So if I had 1 house could mean 5 rooms. Maybe I can modify it and change it with public funds, with embezzled funds. But the law as it stands now, so that is what your society is pushing.
So the law as it stands now does not allow us to monitor and verify. So 1 house, yes, 1 house. How many rooms in the house? We do not know. What is the land size on which the building is situated? We do not know, right? And we are not allowed to even monitor and verify. The striking thing about the 1995 law is that it places punishments on officials who would leak somebody's declaration.
More or less the whistleblowers?
More or less the whistleblower. But does not place punishment on the officials who do not declare their assets. In fact, it only says that the president may, he may withdraw he may withdraw them from office if they do not declare the assets. But there is no strict punishment for them. And we know that in this country, a law without a punishment is just a piece of advice that anybody can decide to follow or not follow. And so, Ghana Anti-Corruption Coalition, Occupy Ghana, Center for Democratic Development, Ghana Integrity Initiative, and Citizens Movement Against Corruption, we are calling for Parliament to pass the Conduct of Public Officers Bill. The issue now even is that for this current administration, we got the first Conduct of Public Officers Bill in 2018. Apparently, there has been modifications. Now there is a 2022 Conduct of Public Officers Bill. And either ways, these bills have still not been passed.
They've not been passed.
And so we are asking the president, you told us you are committed to the fight against corruption. We have seen you pass the RTI law after almost 20 years.
Yes.
We have seen you set up the Office of the Special Prosecutor. It has had its own challenges, but we have seen the office begin to take shape and acting. Give us this Conduct of Public Officers law as another step in the fight against corruption. That's all we are asking for.
So I asked whether you're not giving up because I know the fight is still waging on, and then we are going on. But I ask that you see their commitment, and this is an election year, and the manifestos, their commitment to passing this law. Have you come across in any of the manifestos so far? So that will tell you whether there's any commitment.
What we have seen so far in the manifestos are just scattered pieces that says that I would do this, I would go after these funds, I would make sure there is transparency, I would make sure there is accountability. What exactly we are going to do to ensure transparency and accountability, we do not see it. And none of these manifestos so far have mentioned the conduct of public officers bill. If I am wrong, I could be corrected, but I have not seen any of the manifestos so far talk about the conduct of public officers bill. And for us, the fight against corruption is big deal. We feel that Ghana loses so much to corruption that we could recover to help us develop this country. If you look at the Auditor General's reports, if you look at it from 2015 or even if you go back to 2012 downwards, you see that consistently the losses are increasing, with the exception of about 2 years back when we got a small dip in the losses. We cannot continue down the path. We need to ensure that people who handle public funds, people who handle public duty, are transparent and accountable for the powers that we have given them. And the conduct of public officers bill is just another step in that. We cannot give up because, you know, when we did this thing with the RTI, the Right to Information Law, it took us over 20 years. And we cannot wait for another 20 years before we get the conduct of public officers bill passed. That is why we are pushing even now so that the president and cabinet would forward the bill to parliament for the necessary considerations and passage. We believe that it is possible to do it, and so the president should do that for us.
Viewers, if you are just joining us, this is The State, and this afternoon we are looking at the fight against anti-corruption with a focus on the conduct of public officers bill, which civil society has been pushing and fighting over some time now. We are told that the current status is that it is with cabinet. We are pushing that wherever it is, it will come and then it will be passed so that we check some of these excesses in our public office and management of state resources. And the studio with us doing this discussion is Mr. Samuel Harrison Kudjo. He's a programs officer of the Ghana Anti-Corruption Coalition. We hope that you are glued to your sets and following the conversation keenly. So, Sammy, let me come back to you. Since you started this campaign, do you know of any state official or public officer who has declared his assets?
Okay, so I would refer us to the last investigation by Manasseh Azure on asset declaration. His findings were that almost about 33 public officers had not declared their assets, and when he did that, they rushed to the Auditor General's office to declare their assets. So we know that assets have been declared. What we do not know is which assets were declared. And we could go back to the demise of the former Forestry Commission boss, 𝗟𝗏𝗏. Yes. And when his will was leaked out there, we saw the things that had been acquired between 2016 when his party came into office and the time that he died. And for us, it is a marker of what's happening, because again, there was an issue about somebody who worked in the Flagstaff house and his wife, and the various things that came out, houses littered around the 𝗟𝗏𝗏 area and all of that. It tells us that even though our public officials are working, there is a seeming grab for assets which we do not know, and we cannot tell how those assets are financed. If the assets are financed by their public salaries and other emoluments and the things we give them, we need to know if they are being financed by sources other than what we give to them as because some of them may have their own businesses. We need to know.
Yeah.
You know, if we do not know these things, then it contributes to people's perceptions out there that other public officials are enriching themselves to the detriment of the state. And so I believe that, I mean, even declaring some of these assets is a way of putting the minds of the citizenry to rest that, look, we are working right for you and you have no need to be concerned. But unfortunately, we do not see the assets that are declared. There were whispers of somebody saying that, well, if they declared their assets and it was published, I mean, publicly, then family members were going to come after them and all of that. But
for them to pay school fees.
I mean, if the economy was also good in a way that everybody was, I mean, had something to do and were earning their own salaries and all, nobody would come after you, you know. So we know that assets are declared, but what we do not know is which assets are declared.
But do you know who declared them?
Yes, so if you applied to the Auditor General's office, you could get a list of who has declared
your society
their assets.
Applied.
I cannot give names off head, but at least I know that after the last work by Manasseh Azure, the Vice President, you know, declared his assets. Some ministers also have declared their assets.
I know,
but
the
full list is
there. It's out there. Okay. I know the crux of the campaign is what we term unexplained wealth. Yeah. That is the crux of it, unexplained wealth. And in my introduction, I attempted to explain. And you mentioned that we do not know the income as the people are getting. I know some countries, you even know how much the president earns. In Ghana here, because the definition of an earned wealth is that the person's known income, his assets or funds exceeds the known income. Does the law give us that privilege to know that president earns this much? So that if president attends a function and gives 2 billion, you ask, where did he get the money from? Do we know the income levels or status of our public officials?
Yes, we know the incomes of our public officials. At least I have seen what the president earned. I think basically somewhere around 20,000 a month or something. There are those figures available. The issue has got to do with unexplained wealth, where the person allegedly has more than what their known income supports. Now, there is the Africa Union Convention on Preventing and Combating Corruption that Ghana has signed up to, and that convention was encouraging state parties to make laws on unexplained wealth. Unfortunately, in Ghana, we do not have a specific law on unexplained wealth. But if we had a robust assets and liabilities declaration regime, then we could do some triangulation to see exactly what is going on. But now we do not have a law on unexplained wealth. And that also accounts for some of the things that we see. You see very quote-unquote young people driving Mercedes-Benzes around town, and you do not know what happens. And this unexplained wealth also puts the country at risk, because we know that some of such money finds its way into funding political party campaigns. And when that money funds political party campaigns, the parties become beholden to the people who gave those monies.
Political party
and that
campaigns.
is why our fight against corruption seems to be going around in circles, because there are interests funding some of these parties that we do not know about. If we had a law that, I mean, a robust assets and liabilities declaration regime, if we had a robust law on political party financing, then we could do some triangulation and also help us to deal with corruption.
Hold on with this robust law. I'm interested in that, some funding political party campaign. So, viewers, this is the state, and it's getting interesting. I believe you are enjoying the conversation. We are looking at the fight against anti-corruption, and the focus this afternoon is on the Conduct of Public Officials Bill, which a civil society is pushing very hard for Parliament to pass into law anytime soon. Ghana Revenue Authority wants you to know that there is a data cleansing exercise. So the Domestic Tax Revenue Division wants us to know that the information of they want the general public and taxpayers, that is self-employed and companies, that it is embarking on a nationwide data cleansing exercise to update registration data and ledger balance of all taxpayers. This is to ensure that taxpayer records or taxpayers' records are up to date. GRA officers have therefore been officially assigned to contact both corporate and individual taxpayers to obtain the needed information. The public is therefore informed that the exercise is entirely free. The exercise is entirely free, and no officer of GRA will request any payment before, during, and after the exercise. Officers of GRA can be identified by the GRA identity card. When they come, request to see their GRA identity card, the name, area, office, or taxpayer service center. Demand to see all these things. Officers who contact taxpayers by phone will identify themselves by name, their TSC, and area office. Taxpayers in doubt can also verify their identity by calling the toll-free number 0800 900 110, 0800 900 110, 0800 900 110. The GRA can be reached by email on info@gra.gov.gh, by WhatsApp on 0552 990 000, 0552 990 000, and 0200 631 664, 0200 631 664. Call toll-free number on 080 900 110, or visit the nearest taxpayer service center for further clarification. And this is under the signature of the Commissioner General. You can reach them on www.gra.gov.gh. Our taxes are future. Hashtag our taxes are future. Sammy, welcome.
Thank you.
And then from that LPM. So we're talking about the unexplained wealth. And you know, unexplained wealth indicates bribery, corruption, tax evasion, and all those areas that public officers, when they get into office, they get themselves meddled with or saddled with. Now in Ghana here, the law states that 6 months you should declare. But I hear it has to be 3 months, but the politicians or parliamentarians made it six months. And then every 4 years you have to declare. Are the CSOs aware of this provision?
If we go into our constitution, the constitution expressly says that you declare your assets before you assume office. So whatever 3 months, whatever 6 months that we are doing is not lawful.
It's not lawful.
Per our reading. Because the constitution has expressly said you should declare before you assume office. So per our reading, whatever 3 months, whatever 6 months we are doing is in violation of the law. And when we speak about this, we are saying that let us go back to what the constitution says and let us do as the constitution is saying. Let the person declare the assets before, because 3 months, that is 90 days into office. Anybody can make a declaration, and especially when we do not know what has been declared, people can make what is called a preemptive declaration. So maybe the person has one house. He could make a declaration that says that I have 4 houses, 2 at East Legon and 2 at Chado. And because our current legislation does not allow us to monitor and verify, by the time the person is leaving office after 4 years that we go to check, we could go and see the exact 4 houses. But for all we know, because we allowed that gap, the person may have done a preemptive declaration, and so we'll go and see buildings that have sprung up and you will think that this is what it is. But we feel that when we go by the constitutional provision that says that declare before, and we go by best practice that allows you to publish the assets that have been declared, then citizens could even say that, no, we know this person, he doesn't have this. Let us check this, let us check that. For us, it's not like we are against some public officials, but we feel that if we do not tackle this issue now, we'll get to a time where it would be so difficult for us to tackle. And I always like to use the example of Galamsey. Somewhere in 2015, news stories started popping up of some Galamseyers saying that they were financing political parties with the proceeds of their action. And we didn't, take it too seriously. And now Galamsey has become something that is very difficult for us to fight because a lot of powerful actors are in there and all of that. We do not want to see our assets and liabilities declaration regime go that same way. We do not want to see conflict of interest become something normal amongst our public officials. Recent corruption issues are all hinging on people's private interests clashing with their public duties.
Let me just put you there on that. So the case of because it's public, Cecilia Dapa's case, does it fall within what the push for your bill is about? Does she fall in that unexplained wealth category? I just wanted viewers to get a classical example of what we are talking about.
So her case started out in so many other ways, right? Now, if we go through that whole case, the first question people ask is, where is her asset declaration? Because in that asset declaration, we would have known what extra businesses she had, what was coming out of those extra businesses, so that it could help us explain the amount of money that were found. Now, in that assets and liabilities declaration also, we have people we call politically exposed persons who are the immediate family of these public officials. So we could have seen a declaration from maybe her husband, if she had children, the children, or if she was even in a business relation with her brother, then that would have been declared so that we know exactly what was coming in. But unfortunately, well, we couldn't get access to her declaration, so you are unable to tell what she had before coming in. That would help us explain the money that was found. Well, when the OSP did the investigation, it felt that the issue was more of money laundering and structuring, and so he had to go to EOCO for EOCO to work on. But then also, if we had a robust assets and liabilities declaration that could be accessed easily by citizens, then it would have helped us to explain.
So this tells us that there is the need for this bill to be passed.
There is the need for this bill to be passed.
We know the assets and liabilities of our people that we put into office and how they manage our resources. Yeah. So viewers, this is the state. We are looking at a fight against corruption with a particular focus on the conduct of public officers bill. We'll take a quick break and we'll be back to look at the strategies, the intervention going forward to getting to know about this unexplained wealth and then pushing the bill to cabinet and then getting it out. Stay with us.
Sorry, not sure.
Wake up to a purposeful day.
Get ready for a transformational morning experience.
Sorena Shrine is here to build our spirituality, mental and physical well-being.
Through positive, inspiring actions and stories.
We bring you exciting activities and conversations that develop us as a people and as a nation.
We take a look at the trending issues in Ghana and the rest of the world.
And we also review the impacting stories from our local newspapers.
Every morning, we bring you stories of hope, change, and renewal.
We empower you through the Word of God and provoke you to live the purposeful life destined for you.
Join us, Anita Kwaku
and the Reverend Ajika Vincent Agbamanya, Monday to Friday from 5:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. as we take you on an inspiring journey, live and exclusively on WTV.
You may also join us on Facebook at WTV Ghana and on YouTube at 𝗟𝗏𝗡 Ghana.
Sorry, not shrink.
Wake up to a purposeful day.
Sorry Not Shrink is brought to you by
Danwell Insurance, Multi-Credit Savings and Loans,
and the Methodist University Ghana.
The Christian Service University, a fully chartered private university in Ghana, is inviting applications for admission. Undergraduate programs include BSc Nursing and Midwifery, Computer Science, Information Technology, Bachelor of Business Administration, BA Communication Studies, Planning and Social Development, and Theology with Administration. Postgraduate programs include MSc in Accounting and Finance, Monitoring and Evaluation, Corporate Planning and Governance. We have MA MPhil Communication Studies, MA Christian Ministry with Management, Event Management, MPhil English and Mathematics Education. With quality, faculty and state-of-the-art facilities, we blend academic work with entrepreneurial mindset in all our programs. For more information, please call 0246 275375, 0240 154825, or 0244 596603, or visit our website www.csuc.edu.gh. CSU is located at Odenaho Kwadaso on the Kumasi-Obuasi Road, 100 meters off Star Junction. Choose CSU today to secure the future of Africa.
And to make him better known. That's
Welcome back. On the state this afternoon, we are looking at the fight against corruption, and then with a special lens on the Conduct of Public Officers Bill that civil society organizations are pushing to be passed, so that we know that before our public officers get into office, we know their assets. They should declare their assets and liabilities, so that if they acquire wealth within a very short span, we are able to tell where that wealth is coming from. And then we've had join us in the conversation the programs officer of the Ghana Anti-Corruption Coalition, Mr. Samuel Harrison Kujo, explaining to us what the fight has been and how he expects that we join the fight. We have looked at the explained wealth, we have looked at the law itself, and before we went on break, we were looking at some of the classical cases or examples of unexplained wealth, and Sami was helping to get us understand. So we will continue the conversation. So Mr. Harrison Kujo, we looked at the Cecilia's case as a classical example of a public officer who if the assets have been declared, we would have been able to make the head or tail of the case and how it has traveled so far. Now, so let's look at the bill itself. Where is it now currently?
Well, currently, you know, currently we know that the bill is in cabinet, and we even got to know this because as part of the IMF conditionalities, government had to provide some discussion on the state of the fight against corruption, and that was when we learned that the bill was in cabinet. Before that, you go and you were told it's with Parliament. You go to Parliament, Parliament says nothing has come to us. Go back to executive. It had become a ball game. You are kicked around, you know. So currently we know that it is in Parliament. It is with cabinet. What we are asking for is for Cabinet to expedite their action on it and send it to Parliament for the necessary work to be done on it. The bill is not only going to talk about assets declarations and conflict of interest, but it would also look at other issues that has to do with proper behavior when you are in public office. So the whole issue around the giving of gifts, issues around what you can and cannot do as a public official. We are trying to get all of these things put into one legislation that we can pick and say, if you go to this legislation at this point, this is what you are allowed to do and this is what you are prescribed from doing. What we have where there are bits and pieces scattered all around in very different laws is not good enough for us.
So you champion in the situation. I've worked in an organization where no matter your grade or level as a staff, when you are given a gift, you have to come and tell everybody. Everybody should know that this gift was given to me, no matter the quantum. And I remember a colleague coming to do her research, and she came from Canada. She brought me a pen. I had to go and declare that this pen was given to me, and you need to state the reason why the pen was given. So the bit about what gifts you can take. You remember also late President Atamils, God rest his soul, at a point in time when he's getting to Christmas, says, don't bring me this gift. This, I don't want this. So that is the conduct of every public officer. But what if they don't do the law as it states now? If you don't declare, what is the consequence?
Well, for now, if you do not declare your assets, the law says that the president may remove you from office. That's all.
Just that.
Yes.
There's no sanction for like fines, imprisonment.
There is a sanction for the public official who would leak a declaration.
No, so that by that you mean I asked earlier on the whistleblower.
Yes.
So if I come to say that I knew Sammy before he got into office, he had only one Toyota V. Now he has fleet of cars. He has built here. I will be blamed.
So if anybody who worked in the Auditor General's office leaked anybody's asset declaration, the law gives a punishment for that person. It's either a fine or a jail term of up to about 2 years or both. But for non-declaration, the president may remove you from office.
And the word is may.
May. Not even shall.
No,
may.
so it comes back to the point that Ghana has so many good laws, but the implementation.
It is not even about the implementation. One of our issues with the fight against corruption in Ghana is the fact that our laws are not robust enough. There always seem to be loopholes that people could
take advantage
of. And I'm using the 1995 Assets and Liability Declaration Law as an example. So, a law that does not allow for verification, that does not allow for monitoring, that has no sanctions. Then people can easily, break the law and move on because there is no sanctions for them. We have very beautiful laws, but you do an analysis of the laws and there always seems to be a loophole in one way or the other. And for us, all of these things do not, and it's not even as if we do not know best practice when it comes to some of these laws. I think the UK has an ethics law. The US also has an ethics law. Countries that are serious about fighting corruption have some of these things. In the UK, a public official cannot take gifts above a certain amount of money.
Yeah.
In Ghana, where is our gift policy? Where is our law on gift giving? So anybody can come and give a gift, and these days when people are being so clever that the line between a bribe and a gift is being blurred, then we can bring you a bribe and say it was a gift. But if in jurisdictions where if you went to give a guitar to somebody who was a former prime minister. At the time when he was a prime minister, you bring the gift and he says, I cannot receive this gift because it is in contravention with our law. That is what we are looking at. But we don't have it. And so it allows our public officials a lot of room. You see, and it creates the corruption risk because there is the room for people to take advantage and, you know, go contrary to established laws, and they may possibly not be punished. And so we are asking for the Conduct of Public Officers Bill. Let us have all of these laws in one place. Let us see a robust sanctions regime so that people know that if I go contrary to this law, this is the punishment. Every time we have talked about making corruption a high risk and a low reward activity, but it's all just talk. We don't see the action that matches the talk. If we are going to make it high risk, in some countries, when a public official is found to be corrupt, they are shot. At least I know of an example in China. That is high risk.
You see, I'm smiling. Can it happen here?
You know you are going to pay with your life.
Can it happen here? Will we live to see that day?
Well, that is why civil society is pushing. And I would like to use this opportunity to tell Ghanaian citizens, don't leave the push only to the Ghana Anti-Corruption Coalitions, the Ghana Integrity Initiatives, the CDDs, the citizen movements, Occupy Ghanaians. Don't leave the push only to us. We need every citizen to come on board. We need your backing. We need to get to the point where the politician knows that we have citizens moving with us, so that somebody will not come and ask you, you people, how many are you? How many votes do you even have?
Yeah.
We need, and I would like to tell Ghanaians that accountability and transparency is not a spectator sport. You can't sit aside and expect that things would happen on their own. We need you to get involved in the governance. We need you to speak up when things are going wrong. And in this instance where the 5 organizations are pushing for the passage of the Conduct of Public Officers Bill, we need Ghanaians to back us, to come stand behind us, so that together we all push for the passage of this bill.
Great. So that's a call on Ghanaians to join this campaign or crusade, so to speak. But I am worried, Sammy, and I am worried about the reality. We have been speaking about the law as it stands and what the law can do. But the reality on the ground, what gets me worried, and the reality, is that you send a little child, small, to buy something for you, and he returns the change. He doesn't expect you to collect it. If you take it from him, you're a wicked parent or uncle. It means when I work for you, I need to get something in return. If you're applying for a job, you need to put something down before you are given. Somebody who is a public official, let's say a health worker, comes to the HR personnel office and they work on his or her payroll. He believes that I should put something down. I should put an envelope down to that public official who is being paid with state funds from the consolidated fund. If you don't do that, you will not get things done. That is the reality on the ground. That is Ghana for you. If you don't bribe, if you don't corrupt, you won't get it done. It gets me worried. So your call is getting me think. Do you see the reality I'm seeing?
We see the reality. We feel the reality. But we can't allow the current state to continue. Now, if everybody has to give a bribe before they get access to a public service, we are going to get to a level where only those who can afford would access public service. That means that a lot of our citizens who, because of certain situations, do not have enough money, may not be able to access public services, when in actual fact, public service is to be provided because of such people who do not have enough to afford it elsewhere. So we cannot allow the bribery to continue. 2, if we allow the bribery to continue, we are weakening our state institutions and undermining our democracy.
Yeah.
I know you have heard where people pay bribes to enter into our security institutions. So imagine that.
Samuel, whilst at it, you just tie in what the way forward is.
Yes.
We should be.
So imagine that you are going into a security institution, you pay a bribe of, say, 25,000 Ghana cedis. Then we station you at a border. Your first instinct is to make back the money you paid. Meaning that you would allow some undesirable people and undesirable elements into the country. Now we are crying about the threat of violent extremism. So by that bribery, we are weakening the institutions and undermining our own democracy.
Great. So what is the way forward for the bill? The way
forward is for one. For the bill, like I said, we need Ghanaians to stand behind us. This is not just a civil society push. We should not make it just a civil society push. We should not make it a partisan push that I belong to this party, so I won't do this or I will do this. This should be the push by the Ghanaians.
Great.
And so the way forward is for all Ghanaians to stand behind us to push for the passage of this bill. But also, to all Ghanaians, one, to not be corrupt, and two, to not indulge in any act of corruption.
So for all Ghanaians not to be corrupt and not to indulge in any corrupt act whatsoever. Thank you very much, Mr. Samuel Harrison Kudjo, Programs Officer of the Ghana Anti-Corruption Coalition. Thank you very much for joining us on the stage. The conversation has been looking at the fight against corruption with a focus on the Conduct of Public Officers Bill. I want to believe that you were enjoying the conversation and the call has come for you to join. We thank you very much and we do not take your patronage for granted. We are back on Monday to continue with the conversation in the state. Stay healthy and prayerful. Don't do what we wouldn't do. Stay out of trouble. See you on Monday. Goodbye.